Okay. All right. So the way I like to approach things when I think about accessibility, my own and other people's, is one, how can what I need also be helpful for more than one person? I feel like that's a really good way to bring people in that understanding of accessibility. So my disability is that I am hard of hearing. I lost my hearing when I was about, they think, 2 or 3 years old as a result of medication. That's usually one of the top questions I get when people ask me, oh, did you lose your hearing or were you born deaf? So I had already acquired language, spoken language that is, at the time of my hearing loss. So I just continued to speak. I was always mainstreamed and only learned sign language on a fluent level when I was in college, more towards the end of college. So my preference has and will always be spoken English, which I think is really important to state because my experience today is mine alone and is not reflective of other deaf or hard of hearing individuals, and many of whom might prefer ASL, spoken English, cute speech, one or all of them. So I just want to put that out there. And some of the things that I have used over the years, I included in the document. One of them is captions. Captions are always something that I need. And I tell people when I do UDL trainings that if I don't have that representation piece, that access to something, then forget the engagement. I don't care. So that's really, really important to stress. And I think that as part of that conversation around captions is the quality of the captions, and also if you don't see them, to ask the person who is sharing the video or who created the video if they're going to provide captions. And when you do that, you want to always assume good intentions, never that they're being malicious and leaving things out. They just may not know. So you always ask, and also ask them how you could support them in adding captions. That always helps me in the advocacy piece. So that's one piece that I really encourage everyone to do. And the second one is text messaging is always a win. I like to tell people that I've been text messaging before it was cool. I've been text messaging probably for almost 20 years. And everybody was starting to do it in high school. And I'm like, I'm already there. I know how to do it. And people say, you type really fast. I'm like, that's how I talk. So I feel like it's really, really fun when you get to share that tidbit. And there's so many different ways we can chat with each other. We're demonstrating it right now by having a chat room. So make sure that option is there when you have conversations with people. And I think sometimes people just miss things. So it can help anybody in a conversation. And the third thing is if video calls are an option, let's try that. I really think that video calls, we have so many tools out there that can be extremely useful that, we can use FaceTime, Zoom, Hangouts, any of those to make that happen. And I think too that you want to ask who's going to be involved. And I have consistently told my colleagues, all of whom are hearing, that I do not prefer Hangouts because I think there's a lag in Hangouts with video, especially if you have more than 2 participants. And I encourage people to check out Zoom. I think Zoom is a really, really good tool and the quality is good. So far, I've had no problem seeing or understanding any of you. So look at the quality of the video in some of these tools. I think that's really, really important. And, on that note, you want to think about why to wake up. Just having text-based options in additional forms is really nice as well. My partner and I actually text each other or use this app called Big Words, which is free or 99 cents, depending on what device you use. And sometimes he'll say something to me, and I'm like, what? 3 times, and then I'm like, just type it. Or he doesn't even try doing that. He just types it in the first place. So having those little things is really, really helpful in communication because it goes both ways. One, you might be tired of repeating, and two, the person who's listening to you might just be tired of saying what. At that point, they just bluff, right? And no one wants to do that because bluffing doesn't help either party. So you absolutely want to ask for clarification. And I'm just trying to see what else I put in here. Some other tips. I think that we already demonstrate in the Inclusive Learning Network and in education technology how we can use digital tools that are necessary for some but benefit all. And I'm thinking, we do video conferencing, but how are we doing it? Is it being done well? I'm thinking we take collaborative notes in Google so that we can see what's going on and making sure we get clarification. That's something I have to do as a deaf person. Otherwise, if I miss something, it's like, what? It was just said. And for 20 years, I used real-time captioning, which is basically a transcription service that types what's going on. But I can't always have that in the workplace for various reasons, money being the big one. So that's why doing something like Google Docs is actually extremely beneficial. It's user-generated, and you get to have a say in the process. And then the two very last points I want to make are actually about how we use video conferences and also in physical spaces. Now I have a light source that's behind me, but I also have one that's in front of me so you can see my face. And one of the errors that a lot of people commit in any space when they talk is they have a light source behind them and you can't see their face. And so that's like one of the worst things you can do for a deaf person. They're like, what are you saying? Or they're like, let's move over here. So just make sure that you're always well lit in your face so that you can be seen and understood by whoever is listening. And also the final part is, it never hurts to repeat or clarify what other people say. One of my biggest pet peeves, if we're speaking in a group, as a presenter, I can stand there and I can listen to a participant. One person might say something and other people are straining to hear them. So as a presenter, you can either repeat what they say or ask them to say it louder. I just don't think enough presenters do that. So that's one thing I would encourage you to do that helps me, but helps many other people as well. Those are my tips and stories. I noticed there's some comments. Everyone is rapidly adjusting their lighting. That was the goal.
Thanks for sharing those tips. I have an excuse. I'm in a hotel and my light burnt out right before I went on. So I can blame them for that. I can get closer to the screen and then it will make me brighter. But I think one of the things you mentioned that is really big is that those collaborative notes for any kind of classroom lecture, because now you're getting different perspectives as well. So the way you take note may not be the same as the way that I take notes. So it actually helps people with understanding by just seeing those notes in a variety of different formats and then different arrangements and so on. So somebody had a question for you about big words and why you prefer that one. Is it because of the big text?
Well, if you haven't seen Big Words, it is an app that is basically a text app. You don't send it, you just use it in real time. And when you type, you can customize the layout. I'm going to type something here. So I can write out hello. Oh. And it's large. So if you are trying to get someone's attention from across the room, you can shake it and it'll flash. Obviously, you don't want to do it if they have epilepsy. So you want to be, considerate of that,
Right.
sensitive to that. With somebody across the room, you can communicate that, and it's very visible and easy to see. Whereas with a text message, if someone's not on their phone, then they're not going to get that right away. So this is a nice app for that. And it's just the custom layout. I like black backgrounds with white font.
Excellent. Well, thanks for sharing that app and the ways that you use it. That's awesome.